Welcome to Flatwater Free Conversation. I am Michael Severe. We have a really interesting conversation for you this week. It's going to feature a guy you know very well, two guys you know very well. Dirk Chatelain, former Omaha World Herald columnist, award-winning reporter, and Josh Jones, three-time state champion at Omaha Central, and of course, Creighton Blue Jay as well. We appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
He still talks about the state championship that he didn't get.
Dude, he talks, I do a show with him pretty much every week, and there's missed foul calls, there's free, the story you guys told about the three-pointer, the one the guy hit who couldn't shoot.
Yeah, Andre Tostinson.
That was, I'm listening to Coach Woodard, and he goes, Andre Thompson shot like 20%.
Yeah.
Never could shoot.
Never.
Hit the three, two of them.
It's the only time that I've ever, been on the same accord of an opposing team. Whole arena was like, no!
And he hit it.
And he hit it.
Yeah.
A straight line drive.
Still crazy. So how did the idea for the story about the Bryant Center and what Josh was doing come up?
Well, it actually came from another guy in the community, Rob Johnson. I saw Rob at a graduation party, and Josh and I have talked about Bryant Center in the past, and Rob was kind of filling me in about what had been happening lately, and I've been sort of out of the journalism loop, but this one just felt like it was in my wheelhouse. I've got a lot of affection for the history of the Bryant Center, going back to the mid-'60s. I mean, Michael, they basically created this Rucker Park type playground, in the wake of the '66 riots. St. Benedict's and the city sort of teamed up in 1966, and they fast-tracked it, and they built this thing, and it turned into this incredible city resource, this social hub, this athletic hub. People would come from all over the city to Bryant Center to play pickup basketball, and then it just kind of died out over the years. Like some other landmarks in North Omaha, but this one was extra special. And then so I knew Josh. I've known Josh for 15 years, and I've written about Josh many times, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. But I don't think I fully understood what that place meant to Josh until we started talking.
Right.
And the influence that Bryant Center had on Josh, and it just made the story much more special because I understood the history. That's all 50 years ago. Yeah. But to Josh, this is very personal and much more recent than 1966.
Yeah.
What's your first memories of Bryant Center?
Martise Ivy.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
3-on-3?
The 3-on-3. I mean, for me, always going down there and shooting around is great. But I think pivotal moments, Martise Ivy was great. Went for about 9 years. It just always brought the community together. And that's when you seen some of the greats that I played with in my era and even before come down and just support the community. It's bigger than basketball, but just to see that many people from the same community come together, that's one of the most special things for me. And I'm just trying to 2.0 that, bring it back.
Most cities have a neighborhood park like that. You mentioned the Rucker, but just smaller ones that aren't as. Ours was Gertown Park in New Orleans, where they had had the metal nets, right?
Yeah.
So you made that certain shot.
That swish.
It was no swish. It was that ding, which was awesome.
We gotta get the metal nets back.
I
They
know.
need to be there.
Debating.
You gotta have those because they're
sure.
the best.
Yeah.
But they all have it, right? But this one seemed even more special. You mentioned all of the political and civil discourse that was going on at that time. It's amazing that anything got done.
It was this incredible place because so many things happened around it. I mean, it's right there in the thick of the neighborhood. I mean, in 1969 there was a terrible incident where a 14-year-old girl got shot in the projects, and it produced 3 nights of riots in North Omaha. And kids were still showing up by the hundreds to the Bryant Center in the midst of the riots.
Yep.
So buildings are burning and smoking, and kids are still showing up for basketball leagues at 24th and in Grant.
Yep.
And then Josh is the part that Josh just can't get over every time you talk to him is this opening in 1968.
Oh yeah, you got Big O, and at the prime of his career,
sure.
You got Bob Boozer and Gail Sayers.
3 of the greatest athletes ever.
For the inauguration, for the opening ceremony of the Bryant Center, it just shows to me about just legacy. Three people like that. I can only imagine what those kids felt. And I feel like there were tons of people who ended up, growing up to be special athletes or successful people. But I felt like after a while, when there was not as much going on anymore, there was a big disconnect. And so like I'm just looking to like shine light and bring some hope to give kids, not just to stay out of trouble, but just bring some more inspiration by programming and just unity in general. You know,
it's not just idle minds, it's idle hands.
Yeah,
you have idle hands.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and so I mean, it's not just about like, it's not a crime story. It's not that type of energy. It's about, I was one of those kids that was a part of something special that was going on in the past, and it, you know, got me to be the young man I am today. And I just want to pay it forward to that next Niles Paul, Bud Crawford, or Richard Webb, who's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, you know, things like that. You know, when we all was at the Bryant Center.
You know, part of the magic of that neighborhood was if you lived down there in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, I mean, you literally might walk down your street one day and see Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
You might see Nat King Cole.
Right.
You might see Oscar Robertson or Gail Sayers or Bob Boozer. I mean, just
the Harlem of Midwest.
Just it was,
yeah.
And just the density of it, and the fact that everybody was kind of in this melting pot together. I mean, it just made it a really special place.
Right.
And Josh, I think, you know, Josh is one of these guys, sort of like me actually, that didn't get to experience that part of it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like we almost like have it in our imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I'm a big. Yeah, I agree. Like it's an illustration for me. Like when I think about it and I fathom it, I feel like every time I dribble or walk around, I can just feel the presence of an Oscar Robinson or a Robert F. Kennedy across the street.
Yeah.
Like the energy behind that is just so infectious, and I think that's just why, like, I appreciate Dirk so much, just because his book 24th and Glory, just everything he talked about on just the strip of 24th Street, but that area specific for me where I grew up. I just appreciate his you know, just his competency of what's going on and his heart to want to like try to keep that energy going forward. I mean, it was phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It's not just a sports book.
No,
because what was happening there wasn't just sports.
Right.
You know, one of the fallacies by neighborhoods is you got to be a singer
or a rapper,
or you got to be a
basketball player
to get out and be successful. And obviously, that's not true. But that neighborhood produced all these great people. At the same time, it was in the middle of the civil rights movement, which a lot of places could, especially in the Midwest, couldn't say they were like Omaha.
Right.
And Josh has a special role in this because he has so much personal investment and credibility. I mean,
thank you.
You know, he grew up 2 blocks from there, and he's
literally,
you know, worked at the Sow on North 24th Street, and you know, he's just got so much personal history there that's almost like a subset of the community history that I think it creates an opportunity for him to be a really influential person in rebuilding that area.
How do you do it? How do you rebuild it? It's been tried. Dirk mentioned it's been tried.
Well, I mean, you tell the story. And you tell the story. I think that myself, humbly speaking, like, I'm a pillar. You know, I'm an ambassador. I mean, Dirk said, like, I grew up in the heart of that stuff. And so for me, like, I go out there and I educate, you know, those who don't necessarily know about what was. And as I'm trying to do things, get them intrigued. That's why I appreciate the book 24th and Glory so much, because for me, just as a community advocate and organizer, just growing up trying to do things, I feel like I've always had to explain the story from a passion standpoint. But he had the book so well written that literally what happened for me was I said, you know what? I can show you, Brent, I can tell you, and I hand him the book.
Yeah.
And so I can connect with Dirk, and I just kind of feel like we, with our resources and connections, as I try to spearhead different initiatives, could really get people around it as they just learn the history. It's all about learning the history. That's how it's not even about like not reinvent the wheel, but like bring it back to culture for me. It's just more so about like letting people know that the culture has never left. You know, you just have to like I'm trying to find the words for it, just because like I don't want, like, I want to be very careful to explain that like the culture has never went away. I just feel like I have like an obligation to like show the visibility of what's actually positive about that area.
Yeah. I remember I talked with John Barrientos once, he pillar of the South Omaha community. And he always said, there's no reason why North Omaha can't do what South Omaha did.
Man.
You drive down 24th Street there, And what do you see? Just business.
But that's the common conversation, though.
It should be able to happen on the other side of the town. It should be.
And it was at a point before the riots, like, it was thriving. It was a thriving community, you know? So, like, why can't it come back, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, not to just continue to praise him, but that's what I appreciate so much about Josh is he's a big dreamer. I mean, he's a big ideas guy.
I am.
And I think people who really affect big change have a lot of imagination. They've got big visions. You know, they're dreamers essentially.
Yeah.
And few dream as big as Josh. You know, I mean, this is a kid who was you know, shooting in his backyard about, you know, dreaming of playing for Omaha Central, and he goes on, you know, wins 3 state championships and goes on a Creighton scholarship, and he survives 3 heart surgeries, and like he's got a heck of a personal story, and I think that's real important to this whole thing too.
You know, when I read the story, and the first thing I thought about, and I tweeted this, is that most people that went through all that you've gone through, dad, mom, losing your career because of the heart surgeries, one of your best friends dying. I mean, you would be, I don't know if the word depressed is not the right word for it. It'd be worse than that.
Right.
But you're always smiling.
Yeah.
You're always laughing. You're always having a good time.
Yeah.
Where's that come from?
People. You know, I think I got a great understanding early growing up that, like, I'm a spiritual person. So, you know, God put us on this place to serve. He as our Lord in all of our ways is what I believe. And I feel like, but you can't do it by yourself. You can only do it amongst his people. And I feel like the inspiration of understanding, like, other people have things inside of them, I almost feel like I feed off of that, you know. And I think like the reaction that I get from people who are inspired by me is what keeps me going.
Michael, the theme that comes up in my life over and over and over, whether it's church or the Main Street Farmers Market or school or whatever, is the need for a reinvestment in community, right? And I'm not very good at this. As an introvert, I'm not very good at this. My idea of a fun Saturday is to spend it on the couch watching the U.S. Open. But there is, Josh sort of personifies this personal investment in community that I think we all need to get back to. You know, and that epitomized North Omaha in the 1940s and 50s. Is just everybody was out. Everybody was helping each other. Everybody's playing together. You know, the reason that neighborhood worked is because it was interwoven together. And I feel like as we've entered the Netflix era and the social media era, and everybody's got air conditioning, and nobody wants to go out. Nobody wants to be part of the community. And I think to make this thing happen in North Omaha, it's got to people have to reinvest in each other.
Exactly.
And I think Josh is really good at that.
And that's why I said people. I mean, everybody wants something to happen, but don't know how to go about it. And, you know, to me, my strategy is like reminding them that they got wings, that they actually can fly. So I try to create opportunities to allow people a chance to, like, be themselves and be empowered. You know, you think about West Omaha, you got the nice buildings out there, the UBTs and things, Iowa West Fieldhouse, and you think about the Eastern Omaha area in general. There's no, like, true direct, like, facility that offers those things. And so I feel like a secondhand strategy is to, like, create initiatives and just empower the people with what we have for resources, and maybe that'll shine light to everybody else outside the community to allow them to want to invest. You know, like, I just feel like North Omaha, it's definitely an area, but it's built by the people. And so the people just got to get woken up. I think they're just waiting on an opportunity to see how they can get back involved, and that's what keeps me motivated. So I was never depressed because I was always inspired about, like, people. I just love people.
Yeah. You leaders are necessary, obviously. And I know, reading about Josh Gibson, you know, Bob was this amazing athlete, but his brother taught so many kids to be great and to be men. You need those kind of people.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are those types of figures down there who are fighting the good fight, but it probably takes more of them, right? And I think, you know, Josh has been part of that battle over the years. he's mopping the floors at the Salvation Army.
I do the dirty work, man.
And that reminds me a lot of Josh Gibson.
Yeah.
Josh was an educated man, like Josh is, and obviously they share a name too. So I think there's a good, strong tradition there of community leadership through sports. Sports is such a powerful influence in this because it's sort of the way I compare it to 24th and Glory. You're trying to give people a history lesson, but you can't get them in with just the history. You got to use sports as sort of the cookie or the treat, to get them in the door.
The buy-in,
So since we're sitting here, you love high school basketball. You love high school basketball.
Oh, you're really going to get him going now, aren't you?
We talk about it all the time. So you just had a Bellevue West team go undefeated, right?
I had a conversation
and win it all. And obviously that makes them better than some of the other Bellevue West teams. No, the Bellevue West teams.
Yeah.
But does it make them better than that run you guys had at Central?
I'll start with Bellevue West. It doesn't. There's something called an eye test.
Yeah.
And from what I've experienced by playing the Bellevue West team that lost one game.
Yeah.
To my team.
Yeah.
I just feel like the talent in the Metro now, holistically, is down.
Really? So that's different. No, that's not true. That's not. Everybody you talk to is the opposite.
Is it perhaps influenced by personal bias and the fact that at 16 years old he had to play against these guys, and now at 35,
Now
that's some good talent, bro. Who's that kid over at Bryan? The Bynum kid I was reading about. He's incredible, right? 2025.
Good too.
Oh yeah.
Omar Bynum was good too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's not demote the talent. Let's just say this.
Yeah.
I can't name. If you say the name Josh Dotzler in his prime in high school, I can't say another name in this modern day area that can outcompete him. In his
he was great, man. I saw him play a ton.
There's another Dotzler.
But Josiah went undefeated though.
but Josiah is just not Josh.
Okay, so you're outside of this.
Okay.
Are they as good?
I'll give you an objective point of view.
Thank you. That's what
Michael, I'm in the minority on this, okay? But I get very tired of people who say that basketball used to be better than it is now.
I know you do.
Skill-wise, it's not even close.
No, it's evolved athletic-wise.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And the athleticism and the training,
I agree.
It's just so far above.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the NBA is filled with Scottie Pippens today. Okay?
Right.
And high school basketball probably has a few more Josh Jones than it did in 2008.
Not as good. Not as good. Yeah, no, I'm playing.
But lefty sharpshooter.
Having said all that, I still think the best team that I've seen was not Josh's three-peat.
No, it was
the Central. It was the Ocoee Central team.
They were unstoppable.
2010 through 2013,
they were
and I
unstoppable.
think 13 was the best of those editions.
The best, yeah. And what made them the best to me was across the board, heart-wise, talent-wise, skill-wise, even coached by Coach Behrens. They were very intimidating. Very intimidating. They were
like Georgetown back in the day.
like nobody can match up with them from any position at all. Like I agree.
Skill-wise,
that guy though.
Skill-wise, they were not elite.
Yeah, you have to be able to
but
intimidate.
Defensively and just
the
grit,
the
grit.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I think they
didn't have a Josh Jones.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a guy that can go out and just get you, a lot of buckets if you need them. But they were very intimidating defensively. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely agree.
I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and there was a quote from Red Auerbach that said, "You can have all the time in the world, but you got to have instigators.
Yes,
you got to have guys that are going to make you mad."
Yes, but that team was the best.
Yeah.
It was a team full of instigators.
It's worth pointing out that there may have been a little bit of recruiting involved in that team too.
Well,
everybody recruits.
There was a compilation. That was an all-star team.
No, I'll help you out. My group won 3. Everybody transferred in. That's the recruiting tactic right there. So you can thank me right now.
That could happen that way. Sure.
Yeah. But honestly, and it does help that you got a Koya Gal. He was one of the only head and shoulders in height and
skill big man.
Yeah, big man in the Metro. That helped a lot. But Tradeon Hollins was very tough.
Take the ball from you.
For sure.
Take the ball from you.
To me, I think he's probably the best defensive player out of Central. I thought Deverell was better than I was until I seen Creighton.
Creighton's probably the best defensive player that I've ever seen.
Look at him at UNO. He averaged over 2 steals a game.
Yeah,
more
sure.
than that. Yeah. He led the nation in
for
steals.
sure. Yeah, 100%.
So this question: Barons or Woodard?
That's tough.
7-7 title-wise. Now Woodard won it at 3 different schools. Barons won in 1 school, but
so
there's a little bit of like a
because talent play a little factor too.
I'm trying to think of like a different sport type deal. You know, it's longevity obviously belongs to Woodard.
Sure.
The peak was obviously Barons. You know, they won what 7 and 8 years.
7 8 years. Yeah.
That's impossible. That'll never happen again.
Yeah.
But just the longevity of it, I think you have to give Woodard a slight edge.
How many state title championship games did Central lose under Barons? Like, because Woodard,
0.
I think, lost 4.
0.
I think he lost 4. He got to 4 more, I think.
So they played against us twice and came up short. And then they lost 2 more in the Chucky Hepburn.
Yeah. So Barons is the Jordan argument, where he went, everyone he went to, he won for the most part. Woodard went to a lot. Yeah. He didn't win them all.
You know what?
LeBron.
It's LeBron against
Jordan.
Jordan.
But in my opinion,
because LeBron's even got the longevity,
I think that Coach Woodard, I'll say this about Coach Barons first. The thing I appreciate about Coach Barons was he was more of a player's coach. You know, that my success came from him, like adapting to who I was as a player by personality and all the personalities we had. And so it allowed us as players to kind of do calls on the fly, and we just bought into his system. I think Coach Woodard was more so about like developing players more. You know,
he's a good teacher.
Yeah, he's a very, very good teacher.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe it is the Jordan.
I think
LeBron
that's really
thing.
good. Yeah, and I think Woodard changed. Probably more than anybody else, I think Woodard changed basketball in Omaha high schools.
Yeah, 100%.
In the late 90s.
Yeah.
He was, speaking of instigators, he instigated a generation of change in Omaha high school basketball.
Right.
Omaha high school basketball was a mess in the late 90s.
Yeah.
There was very little organization, and Woodard changed that. And then I feel like Barons kind of perfected it.
He perfected it, exactly, yeah. But also I think Coach Barons had a lot. Coach Barons had better talent before my group came to high school, but I think he was still trying to figure it out. And I think what helped us secretly was the group that I came in with and we won consecutively with. We were on the same team from the 4th grade through senior year. Yeah. So the chemistry that we had, we just really bought into him on top of the, just the rapport we have with each other.
Now, would Hunter Salas and St. Thomas have an argument here? Probably, because they had a pretty good run too.
Here, I don't want to, never want to disparage anybody. And I love Coach Cannon. I just don't know if he was as good of an X and O coach as those 2 guys we just named. So when he would go against them, he could have great talent, but you got to out-coach guys.
But that back to Matthew Culliver, Brandon Magruder at Bryan High School. They beat us at Central when we had Benny Valentine, Avery Tyler, and guys like that because Matthew was such great of a talent. But when it was winning time, Coach Barons out X and O'd him every single time.
He's a good X and O.
Yeah.
It was Omaha has a very proud history in basketball.
Yeah,
it does.
I think underrated.
Yeah, I think so. I do appreciate Hunter Salas just because I feel like in the new generation of talent, like it's way more athletic and everything you can say about it, but he has been like supreme on like the representation of like showing that there are more guys like him in this city. We just need that platform to get it done.
Let's wrap it up. Who's the best 7th grade coach you ever got?
Oh, man.
If you don't know, Dirk coaches 7th grade basketball.
Michael, I'm all in. In my retirement, I'm coaching so many sticking basketball games now. It's just, it's crazy.
Are you doing tape breakdowns with the
No,
kids?
but
you got a big old board out?
I will confess to watching Denver Nuggets YouTubes.
For sure.
Trying to pick up some stuff.
Some pretty good motion offense.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I just need to find a big man like Jokic.
Hey, this is a simple thing that can help you. And when you practice, if you put a cone right under the rim and you just have 5 guys around the perimeter, and when they pass, tell them to cut to the cone, you'll have instant ball movement every single time.
Jays do that in practice. It's pass, cut, pass,
cut.
Yeah.
Just get that down. Because there'll be a lot of time when they're in the game and everybody's like ball watching and you'll hear cut.
Yeah.
So do
Just
that.
wanted to cut, yeah. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Dirk. Thanks for writing the story. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
Thanks
too.
for living the life so we
Yeah.
can write the story about it. We appreciate it.
Josh is one of these guys where you got to check in with him about every couple of years.
I'm
just
always
to
doing
see what
something.
he's working on.
I'm always doing something.
Nothing wrong with that.
For sure.
We appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, man.